Greetings, everybody. This is Leviathan, and even if it sounds like my normal greeting, that's because I'm bringing you my best, along with Nineball's best. Yes, that's right. It's the Westmarch workshop, and we are back. The dastardly duo has returned from our journey from the west. We went east. Apparently, I hear we're always supposed to go into the east. So we had to come back, even though we would have loved to stay. It was quite a nice time out there. I think Nineball probably thought the weather was a little cold, but I'm sure he'll tell you more about that in just a moment. I thought the weather was quite nice, even tropical, especially as I returned to some rain, but I'll also tell you more about that because I love complaining about the weather. In any case, though, I think we should just go ahead and get the show started up right now. It's episode 128, BlizzCon and Beyond. We got a lot of rhyming in that one because we're going to be talking about a little bit of BlizzCon recap. BlizzCon 2017 is in the books, and then of course Beyond Season 12 has started. It's underway. A lot of excitement with that, so we're going to give you a little bit of a rundown on what's been going on. Nineball. Oh God. For those of you who can't visually see what just flipped on screen when the intro was done, holy moly. Nineball got trolled at BlizzCon. Would you like to tell the people what happened?
So there is like this yearly tradition that goes on every single year. In chat, he's BlizzPro Troll Shadow, one of the guys that does some of the behind-the-scenes stuff over at BlizzPro. Every single one of our BlizzCon coverages, he always gets me something Jar Jar related, and this year he got me some Jar Jar pacifiers. So I just have to, the little, you can see him right there in the skull behind me, the little Jar Jar doll that he got me from some years ago. That there's a picture on Twitter somewhere from some years prior to that, the Jar Jar mask.
Yes.
So it's a yearly tradition at BlizzCon. Something always Jar Jar related has to go through and happen. So there you go.
I think this gift, I call it a gift, by the way,
Yeah.
is appropriately working because it pacifies your anger when someone brings up Jar Jar. It's kind of like a cyclical thing, if you will.
I don't think that's how it works.
No?
No, I'm pretty sure that is not how that works.
The intention was there. It's the thought that counts.
I'm sure.
Oh boy!
But I have multiples to choose from too. They're around here somewhere. We got.
That's right. It was like a set of pacifiers,
Yes.
not just one.
Not just one. There was 6. There was 6 in there. You know, I wish that he would have gotten 9.
Oh, that would have been appropriate.
That would have been appropriate, but I guess.
Or like 666 of them, maybe, since isn't Jar Jar like a Sith Lord, Devil, Evil Man?
Yeah, something like that.
Totally. Definitely in league with Diablo, that's for certain.
Yep. But yes, magical time.
Just one of many stories that will be unveiling tonight in regards to BlizzCon.
Which, you know, even though there wasn't too much like official Diablo stuff going on, we still managed to somehow spend like an entire week like Diabloing it up.
Oh yeah, we were wheeling and dealing when it came to Diablo crew doing stuff out in Anaheim. I think I want to say that having no official, like need to see this Diablo thing, need to do this Diablo thing, actually gave us more time to do the Diablo thing, which is like build the Diablo community. Yeah,
and that's pretty much what we did. You know, it's every year it's kind of like going through and certain people within the Diablo community like coming out there for the first time, and just like kind of like welcoming them into the group, or just like meeting more and more fans every single time. And it's just, I don't know, it's an awesome experience, and it's just nice seeing that a lot of the big names from the Diablo community always end up there, and so we actually have like that nice little area to connect, network with, hang out, share ideas.
Absolutely. I still always love to call it the family reunion because it really feels like you're just getting your long lost uncle who always gets drunk at the party. You know,
Yeah,
there's always one. Usually it's monstrous, but I feel like Zanji takes the title this year as the resident drinker.
Yeah.
We were like
that's already, you know, it's like that's the two people told me their favorite story from BlizzCon, you know, involving Zanji and the double fisting beers at the community panel.
That's right. Oh boy, yeah, we're gonna have stories for you. I guess we shouldn't go too out of order though, since we haven't even done our weeks in gaming.
Which I mean, even going and talking about like the weeks in gaming is almost kind of out of order because that just jumps immediately into season 12.
It's true too, yeah. And I guess beyond that is BlizzCon because that's where we've been.
So in this podcast, we just talk about the last 2 weeks.
It's all weeks in gaming.
Yeah, pretty much.
The whole show. Okay.
Yeah, that's just the entirety of it.
All right. Well, then we'll just go ahead and skip that. And do we want to? Maybe we'll start with season 12 because it is fresh. It's on everybody's mind, and then we can take a step back into history for BlizzCon 2017.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
All right. So you tell me how your season 12 kicked off because I got a story.
Okay, well, my season 12 has been a bit limited. I did go through and I've streamed a little bit, you know, here and there for it. Back, kind of, little bit, tiny. What is it? So, you know, kind of like, I got back the Wednesday prior to the season launch. That's when I got back from BlizzCon, and then immediately Thursday went back to work. So I worked a closing shift. I was at work when the season went live. I got home at around like, you know, close to 2, something like that. I started streaming. I think I went from like 1:30 to 3. You know, I didn't stream for all that long, but you know, just got about like halfway through, and then from there, I guess, you know, like some people have taken pity on me, and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna power level you." Okay. And so that was my season opener. I'm around. I think I just got to like Paragon 500. I actually completed my Traggle set before I finished the first 4 chapters of the season journey. So now I have backups
Nice.
for playing softcore. Playing softcore for the first time. Which, funny story, when we originally went to go live with the episode tonight, I got disconnected and lost internet for like a couple minutes.
That was the thing that happened.
That was the thing that happened. And now you know why I'm playing softcore this season. But other than that, you know, I was just going through trying some different builds. I think I've gotten a Greater Rift 65 down. I'm working on getting my 70 so I can unlock primals and just go and start pushing. But to combine with that, also when I got back from vacation, I got a promotion. At work. So all of my time and efforts have been noticed and acknowledged, and so. But on the other side, I'm also working more than I already was.
Funny how that works.
It's funny how that works. But it's I'm gonna have very limited play time, but I will try to make the most of it this season to try and, you know, go and get that done. I really want to try some of the things I didn't last season, such as, like, you know, some of the Traggold builds, which I was a little bit too hesitant to. 1, playing hardcore, 2, playing hardcore on a bad internet connection, and then also having the skills cost life. Just no, that didn't seem bueno. So I'm having some fun with it so far, just trying a couple different things. Like there's this Blood Mage build that I'm playing with at the moment, because I got lucky getting the Jessith's set.
Nice.
And then I also was when I was running with Dread Scythe, Knight, Shepherd, and some others, I just put together hobbled together like just a support necro, because I wasn't doing any damage and they were just carrying me through, like Greater Rift 70s. And so I just put some stuff together so that way I would have the DPS, or not the DPS, the survivability to stay alive, and then just, you know, like frailty and things of that nature, just so, hey, I'm doing stuff too. They die faster because I'm here. Yay!
I'm helping.
I'm helping too. Yeah, just some little stuff like that, and just seeing some of the things that I might be able to do, with my limited play time. And a lot of times it's easier to gear for that support role sometimes than it is for actually gearing for the DPS role if you want to push higher.
Oh yeah, especially if you have limited time too, because usually your DPS are going to be the ones that need the chock-a-block Paragon because they're pouring all that into their main stat to keep the DPS rolling in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas as a support, you can support really high level greater rifts on like Paragon 500, 600, 700. Really don't need too much. So that actually, I'll be curious to see what you'll get yourself into because the Z Necro is in the Rathma speed runs.
Them rat runs.
Yeah, them rat runs, man. You might be able to get more Paragon than you even think you're going to be able to get, just because even if you have limited time, you're going to be able to spend it really efficiently.
Yeah, and with everyone, like, Greater Rift 100 is like the new benchmark for everything.
Seriously.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you're not doing 100, you're not doing anything.
Yeah, it's like Greater Rift 100. It's the new Greater Rift 70.
So crazy. I guess, yeah, so I'll take from what you just stated and sort of pour it into my side of things. Another thing that I feel will kind of justify what we've said in the past about how even though the conquests haven't upgraded themselves along with the power that we've gained, you'll probably get a lot more, what's the word I'm looking for, movement towards clearing your seasonal journey this season, even off of the strength of not having enough time or a lot of time to play like you want to. Just, from what we've been seeing, right? All the sets improving, the conquest staying stagnant. Like, we really did feel like it was a shift for them making those things a little bit more accessible, right? Guardian should be more doable for a lot of players.
Yeah, people should have a lot easier time going through and completing their seasonal journey, and maybe that's kind of like the push that some people need to actually stay around and finish their seasonal journey, and so they get maybe more overall playtime because of it.
Right, yeah, it could be the hook, keep going. Let's see.
And before you get into your story, I just want to say I did also have this very nasty sickness that caused, some phlegm in my throat, and I was very uncomfortable.
Yeah?
Yep, I had a cough and everything.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I actually had to go and take some, Mucinex.
They had to take some Mucinex, huh?
Yeah, it was very inconvenient.
Wow. I feel for you.
So, please tell me how your season 12 went.
As I laugh and try to not cough at the same time. So Nineball stole my thunder with his little black lung. My season. So I got back from BlizzCon on the Tuesday before the season started, and like I was saying in the intro, the weather was so glorious and great in California. And then I had a connecting flight that landed me in Houston for a little bit. Houston was beautiful as well, too. It was in the 80s. I wasn't outside because it was in the airport, but I was feeling the nice warmth throughout the airport. And then I land in Boston at about 9:30 at night. It's 40 degrees out. It's freezing raining out. And, I'm standing there waiting for an Uber to come. I didn't ever think it was going to be that bad of conditions. So I have, my stupid sweatshirt, my t-shirt underneath. I'm at least wearing jeans, but I've got my boat shoes on, no socks. And it was so miserable. I was instantly cold, instantly feeling under the weather. And then sure enough, go to work on Wednesday. I'm like, all right, we got to make it through one work day. Then the season's going to kick off tomorrow. I'm getting excited, going to go home, buy my groceries, get the energy drinks. And I got home and it literally felt like a bus just slammed into my face and the rest of my body as well. So I was down for the count, man. I got home. I was going to maybe try to farm some of the double goblin event because that was a thing that we basically missed by being out in California for as long as we were. And nothing, dude. I got home. I started to change and I was like, I don't feel so good. And then laid down and woke up about 10 hours later, coughing, hacking, all sorts of stuff. I had some Mucinex too, 9, by the way.
How did
Didn't
it
do
help?
shit.
Okay.
Yeah. Didn't do shit.
For me, it completely removed all of my symptoms.
Oh, wonderful. Maybe you had the extra strength.
Yeah, that might have been it. Something like that. Actually, no. I got the combo pack, the daytime nighttime.
Oh, see, that's where I went wrong.
Yeah.
I only had the pleb time. Oh goodness. So yeah, I got the BlizzCon crud, plague, flu, whatever you want to call it, and a few others. Con crud, man, it's real. It really is real. Even though I followed Knight's advice and had the hand sanitizer, I probably didn't get as much sleep as I should have. But man, it came with me back home and destroyed me. So yeah, I didn't get to do. So I stayed home from work Thursday, sick, and then literally I was up and down in terms of being awake and sleeping, and had no alarms or anything, but my body instinctively woke up at 8 p.m. Eastern Thursday, and I looked at my phone. I just saw everyone like going live stream, season 12's here. I was just like, man, this sucks, dude, and just turned my phone off and went back to sleep. I was so bummed out. I did wrangle myself out of bed at I think about like 10 p.m. and I played for about an hour just by myself, sad, crying in the dark here in my room, and then just turned it off. Like I think I got to level 40 that first night. I couldn't do it. Like I've never tried so hard to will myself to do something and just feel my body fail, you know. It's kind of incredible. So really bummed, unfortunately, that's how that went. And it was the same throughout the rest of the weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I was just super duper under. I know Riker was pretty sick as well too. And I'm blanking on some of the others, unfortunately, but I saw some other people stating across Twitter and such that they had coughs. So Link Zarya had a cough as well too. So I don't know. Maybe that panel was cursed or something.
Maybe. I know.
Big Daddy.
Good.
I was just gonna say though, I was talking to Big Daddy Den yesterday. He said he hasn't been sick since 2012. I wanted to I will come choke you and make you sick.
Yeah, I have to say that's the same for me. It's like I'll get like a sore throat or something along those lines, but I've not actually been like legitimately sick like in a while.
How do you do it?
I don't know. Vitamin C, orange juice.
And maybe yeah. I don't drink enough orange juice. That's for sure.
And the key to it is that you have to space it over time. Because if you take like a vitamin supplement in the morning, the next time you go to the bathroom, it all goes away. You can't retain anything, so you have to make sure that you take it over the multiple times over the course of the day.
A long slow burn rather than trying to just get a huge dump.
Exactly.
Of vitamin C, that is. Yeah. Huge dumps in general might be good for you though.
It could. I don't know.
Keep it regular.
Just it's like try it and see what works for you.
Yeah, man. So season 12 eventually got going though. I started to feel a little bit better by, I want to say Sunday-ish. Even though the Cowboys lost. Sad.
Sorry.
It didn't help my mood. But I started to be able to play at least for longer stints. And a lot of people were really helpful in wanting to group together and stuff, even though they were miles ahead. I basically did get carried. Longshot was making fun of me in chat yesterday and just now for getting carried. I'm not so, proud to say that I humbled myself and took some help. And it was nice to see other people who got to zoom at the beginning of the season return, their power. So it's been, the Crusaders are also a grindy class in general at the start of things because their gear requirements are just always so severe. All right, so let's see. So yeah, so the Crusader in particular is rough to have a slow start on because it already kind of starts slow in that you need a lot of specific affixes when it comes to your CDR requirements, especially if people are, I'm sure, becoming familiar with that with the cons and needing that 56% CDR on the sheet. So coming out of Seeker of the Light, even that was kind of tough. I did find a Johanna's argument rather quickly, so that was nice. And I was able to transition into the Akon set and eventually put together like a janky Blessed Shield thing. And then eventually actually got into some nice pieces for Condemn. I have a really nice Ancient Blade of Prophecy, the very first Blade of Prophecy I found all season, in fact. And then managed to luck into my first Primal being a Furnace which you can use with condemn. Essentially, you would be cubing it if you didn't have, one that was really good, and then wearing, using your Blade of Prophecy. But you can also reverse it, and that gives you some options. Pretty good.
Which is one of the nice things, with a lot of the changes is they made the skill damage part of the legendary bonus, so you don't have to have it equipped. You can just cube it.
Yeah, actually, that's a great point. Previous to this patch, that would not have been a possible thing. That furnace would have just been dumpster, because you would have had to be wearing the Blade of Prophecy to get the huge condemn bonus. You're right.
So this is just one of those like tiny little quality of life changes that made gearing easier.
No, that's right. Coming from all sorts of sides of the woodwork, and also even the fact that I probably got that furnace because they lowered that drop rate. Or I guess increased, probably the other way, right? Increased that drop rate on those rarer items like a furnace or a star metal kukri, etc. So looking good, man. Looking good. Starting to get back. I think I hadn't mentioned this in the last part, but I was now sitting around Paragon 750-ish. So hoping to really do some work this weekend. I want to get up to Paragon 1000. So I'm setting myself up for a nice grind. And I've cleared a Greater Rift 94. But like you were saying, 94 is nice and all, but if you ain't doing that 100 yet, you ain't doing nothing. So kind of aiming to get up there as soon as possible.
That's what I'm trying to do right now. Is I'm putting together. I have kind of a pseudo Rathma build all set and good. I just am missing taskers, but I kind of like going back and forth. Well, it's like I already got the Jesseths. I have like a complete Rathma set. It's like I guess I could just go through and try and farm up taskers and just run that. But I'm like so close to getting Pestilence together. I just need like Corpse Whisper Pauldrons, as well as I think like the last piece of Pestilence and a Ring of Royal Grandeur, and I can start running with that.
Nice.
So that's what I really want to do.
Right, because that's your Corpse Lance bread and butter.
Oh yeah, man. Cannot wait.
What's funny? So one of the things that's kind of been the hallmark of this season for me so far is, I think I'd mentioned, getting a little bit of help from my friends, but, just jumping into games with people. It's been really cool to see not only the class diversity, because I haven't been doing any, meta rat runs or any of that. So I've been seeing everyone's sort of aiming for whatever build that they're really interested in, between Barbs, with Mikey doing, charge stuff, or Hoda. I've seen some Demon Hunters, both rocking multi-shot and Impale. I've seen... I actually played with a Necromancer for, I honestly want to say, the first time since Necromancers have been released. I think it's the first time I've had a Necro in my party, which sounds wild, I know. But they were doing, it was I think it was Deanie's friend or Tim's brother from the Cool Story Bro podcast over there. But this was my sort of glance into how OP everyone keeps saying the Necro is. I'm like, yeah, I hear you, but just relax, okay? In any case, I'm in this group, right? And we're doing a Greater Rift 80, so nothing to write home about, but we're speeding through. And this is the very first one that we've done. I have my Condemned Crusader, Deanie's on, I think, a support monk or something. And so we're going. And the Necro is a Pestilence Necro. And I'm noticing these little Corpse Lances come out every now and again. Like, oh man, that's so cool. Love Necro. Oh, look, Curses. Oh, that's fun. And we get to the boss. And I'm there like, oh man, condemn. All right, here I go. Hack, condemn. And all of a sudden, the rotation must have hit, because I just see no health bar for that boss anymore. It was unbelievable, man. The power, the single target is disgusting.
Yeah, as soon as you hit that Land of the Dead, like with Pestilence, you're popping so many Corpse Lances, and if they're all hitting the same target, good night.
Yeah, dude. I was like, oh, so that's what boss killing looks like.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, I'm looking forward to more of that. So that's kind of been my favorite part of this season so far, is just seeing the massive amount of diversity, massive amount of enjoyment that everyone's really having with all the different classes. Have you been paying attention to any of the the leaderboards, or what people have been doing, what they've been enjoying? Any anecdotes?
I've not really been paying too much attention to leaderboards. I've been watching some of the builds. Like, some people are going through and saying, as far as just speed farming for Paragon levels. That rat runs will probably be the most efficient. And we've thrown that term out there a couple of times, but for those that might not know, a rat run or a Rathma run is just a kind of like a 4-player meta composition for speed running. I'm not sure what area it's in for the current season or how high it will go, but it's 2 Rathma necromancers, based around Singularity Mage, as well as a ZDPS necro, and I think it's a support barb.
That's
for
right.
the movement speed, and it's just it just has so much power that your Singularity Mages are like one-shotting all of the mobs, and you literally just you don't teleport or blood rush through the map, but the movement speed bonuses from like the Lost Time as well as from the Barbarian, you just literally run through the rift and kill everything on your way, and that's all that it does. You're not specifically hunting down elites. You just walk down, and the 2 Rathma Necromancers, their mages are enough to just kill every enemy on the screen, and you never have to stop, ever.
It's the beauty of it. You're just constantly running. So that's why Rathma, run, running. And it's pretty insane because the Barb is also there to scoop up all the orbs. So they have, really big pickup radius to get that orb back to the Necro, to keep fueling the, I almost said Wrath, to keep fueling the essence. And it's actually incredible how the community comes up with these just, metas of the meta, like the sub-meta, the speed meta, whatever. These came kind of halfway through Season 11, and everyone's doing them now from essentially day 1. So these Paragon levels are going to be ridiculous. You were talking about, we really don't know how high they'll go, but right now people are already doing speed 90 to 100s in the realm of 3 minutes on average.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. It is really crazy, and that number is only going to go up because people haven't even. I imagine people haven't even started like augmenting gear.
Yeah, that's it, right?
We're not even a week into the season yet, so I highly doubt people have been primaled up or anything of that nature.
Yeah, and the Paragon numbers are still low too. So just think, people are only now getting to maybe like the 1000s, low 1000s, and so you're just going to continue to from here pump more main stat and roll that snowball up and up and up.
And then I was watching Zanshi for the first couple of days, and he was playing one of those pestilence builds. But he's literally just blood rushing through with Land of the Dead on it's permanently off cooldown. It's up 100% of the entire rift. As they're speed running, I think they were like speed running like 85s on day 2.
Disgusting.
Yeah, and so he's just running through, and it's nothing but corpse lances everywhere, and the entire screen's frozen the entire time. It was, some powerful stuff.
Yep, welcome. And I was actually talking to Togezna, one of our friends of the show, and he was just kind of marveling at the numbers. I'm like, you can't even really look back anymore. You can't take numbers or comparisons from Season 11 and beyond because we're in like a brand new world, it feels.
And this to me is also like it's gotten to the point where the power level is like so insane and crazy where like 100 isn't like I guess the way that the scaling happens, even though the max is 150, 100 isn't even halfway to that max level that you can go and get.
Right.
But it just has like that psychological bearing. It's Greater Rift like 100. It's like it's a nice whole round number that people can go through, latch onto, and say I did it. Sure, there's 50 other levels above it, but it's not. It doesn't really have all that much meaning except psychologically. But it's beginning to feel kind of like D2. Where it wasn't about you had to have like this particular build in order to beat Hell mode. It was, what stupid crazy build could I beat Hell mode with? And so now we're getting to that point a little bit where people are more focused on having fun and doing what they want than having to push the meta build to get, like that Greater Rift 100 clear, or that all-time, like Greater Rift like 130 or what have you for like a group clear. And people are just going around and having fun.
That's a good point. I think I'd like to see how this works the next season too. I wonder if there's a bit of the novelty to it right now where you really feel like you're surpassing all your previous personal bests, right? So again, we haven't had a season like this under this patch. So, it's in season 13, will people still be having as much fun from the silly power that they get right away? Or will it now kind of be commonplace, or, you have all those personal bests set under 2.6.1? Is it going to still feel as good to get right back up there? Or, if you're not zooming past what you did previously? I'll definitely want to stick a pin in that and see if that same level of sort of enjoyment maintains itself. But I feel like in some sense it certainly will, just because people seem to enjoy being overpowered. And like you said, we've opened up more of the spectrum to being overpowered with a menagerie of builds, right? So now instead of just being limited from maybe like Greater Rift 1 to 50, where you could do whatever you wanted, right? Now you can go Greater Rift 1 to Greater Rift 85 or something, where you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And try some wacky stuff as well too. So I think it'll stick. I do think that this is a move in, the fun direction for sure.
Oh, for sure. And that's what it's about. People just going through, playing the game, having fun. Because that was, I guess, one of those things that people have complained about a little bit in the past, that, because of itemization, that it's too focused on like sets and going into like this one particular build, to where now is a little bit of a halfway point. It's still based around the sets, but all of the individual sets are better balanced, and so you have a little bit more option in playing what it is that you want. There are still meta builds. There are still going to be things that are the best of the best and just flat out better than others. But, if you can, do everything that you want, I'm trying to go back and remember the season that they released the Seeker of the Light set. Now I went and played a Crusader. And I ended up going through, in order to try and get my seasonal journey done, I ended up going through and leveling and gearing a Witch Doctor because I was having so much trouble with the Crusader. It felt so bad. Where now that's not the case. You can play anything that you want, complete your seasonal journey, and hell, now you can almost play anything that you want and clear Greater Rift 90, or Greater Rift 100.
Yeah, I was having one quick convo with Mikey, I think it was yesterday, and we both kind of came to the conclusion that we're so close to really sort of what you're touching on, a true era of just do whatever you want. Because right now, being able as a solo player, say you can't get those groups together, say you can't do the meta groups or whatever, or you just don't want to, you choose not to, you're not going to be quite as far behind. Like the gap is sort of shrinking in a sense, even though the meta groups, when they put themselves together, will certainly be able to go further than they previously could. But you also are able to still go further as well. And, there's kind of that shrinking of things as you get higher into the Greater Rifts. It's not as profound per se, unless there's like, 50 Greater Rifts between you, then obviously there's a gulf. And that is what it is. There will always be some sort of gap. But, the one remaining thing, which I will stand on my pedestal on, is wanting that solo self-found, because from there, we have the base sort of for it right now, where you can use any build you want, use any set you want, feel great about it. Now just imagine a world where you don't have to worry about the meta in terms of, playing a Necromancer all season and then coming back to your Demon Hunter. You can just play your Demon Hunter, any build you want, and you're only competing against the other Demon Hunters, all that you all find on your solo self-found journey. It's the dream. It's the promised land, man. I want to get there.
Yeah, maybe one day. Maybe. Because I guess that's going to be the question, like, after the season, where do we go to next?
Yeah, I'm very, like, I don't want to, rush season 12, because I'm really enjoying it, but I really want to see what season 13 will do. Especially, I guess we'll see kind of PTR in a few weeks, but I'm very curious kind of what the next step is. I think it'll tell us a lot about what we can expect.
Yeah, It will be indication of like where I guess the developer priorities lie. You know what issues they're looking to try and tackle, and what they think still needs to be addressed within the game after this massive update and balancing.
Yes. Sorry, I muted myself there for a second.
No worries, no worries. But with that, is there anything else that you wanted to touch about with Season 12?
Well, I guess one quick hit was that we got a blue post right before the show started, as always seems to happen, Dainty, where there is a little bit of a thing going on with Crusaders, a Shield of Fury bug that's going to get hotfixed at some point in the future, because right now, the power on Shield of Fury, for those of you who aren't familiar with the Crusader life, it's the shield that allows your Heavenly Fury, which is the skill that's part and parcel to the Holy Shotgun build, to continually scale up as you keep using that skill against an enemy. The high point on the power is a 30% increase of damage that that enemy would take as you continue to Heavenly Fury it. So what happened with the bug is that other Crusaders, even though the shield specifically says your Heavenly Furies help to increase your future Heavenly Furies, other Crusaders were able to help another Crusader build those stacks as well. So you can imagine a world where you get 4 of those Crusaders in a Greater Rift, which no one was doing yet, by the way. It was just more of a 2-player thing that we were seeing. But you get a bunch of Crusaders together, have one maybe that's the support that's just helping to stack that Heavenly Fury. And of course, now you're inflating DPS where it technically shouldn't go. So they're just going to put a stamp in that immediately. Right now, the power is disabled. So by the time you hear this, maybe the issue will already be fixed and you can get back to Holy Shotgunning. That's the only thing it's really going to affect is anyone that was using it in solo as a build might need to shift builds for a little bit. But good on Blizzard. We were just talking about this right before the show started. Good on them for the celerity to really hop on this as it was starting to get more notoriety, more popularity. Stopped it in its tracks so it shouldn't affect Season 12 too heavily.
And yeah, that's the big thing, is taking action before it became too broken, or before it would really affect any of the outcome.
That's right. Especially now, it's still really early, right? So hopefully any results will be, surpassed by better gear, better Paragon levels, etc. If it was getting that far ahead.
Yeah, because I mean, this early into the season, there's very little that it could really make that big of an advantage of. And like you were saying, it wasn't really affecting the meta too much. It wasn't overly that broken as far as being able to push people like higher. But it still had the potential to be like something that someone could exploit for something, and so they decided to nip it before it became an issue.
Better safe than sorry. But yeah, that was my last hit on the Season 12 stuff. Definitely looking forward to seeing what else pops up. Maybe some other crazy, people are set on the rat runs, but who knows? Maybe another speed meta will come up.
Yeah, we'll have to go through and see. And if you want more information on Season 12, if you want to check out our site, diablo.blizzpro.com, Dreadscythe went through and put together like a mega post with quick links to everything that you might need to know. Your Hadrig's gifts, your conquests, for going through, completing your seasonal journey, locations of all of the class set dungeons and what have you. So just nice, easy to find reference guide, so that way you can go through, get started, and know exactly what it is that you want to do. And also you can go through and check out an article that I posted over on Diablo Fans that just has some of the more easier to gear for and popular builds for all of the Hadrig's gifts sets for each class, so that way you have a jumping point if you're maybe trying a class or maybe playing with the set that you've never played before.
All the resources.
And then from there, we've got, I guess, just a lot of time to talk about BlizzCon.
BlizzCon recap.
Yeah. So I guess like we mentioned, there wasn't anything too big officially as far as Diablo is related, but we spent the time going through, reaching out, making connections, talking with other Diablo content creators, as well as just some other people from within the community, whether it be fans, developers, what have you. And I feel it still was like a really amazing year. Yeah, I guess if you were there. If you're on the virtual ticket, you don't get that same experience. But if you were like a Diablo fan there at the convention, there still was a lot to cover and do.
Yeah, there was an excitement in the air, even though, and this again goes back to what we covered in a couple of shows, was the expectations being set from the get-go, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dainty really pushing for that messaging going out early of, hey, we know what happens with the Diablo rumor mill. Let's just go ahead and nip that in the bud.
Mm-hmm.
There will be no big news announcements, no major things for Diablo at BlizzCon. And I think everyone kind of took that going in. Of course, there's still that little level of like, are they maybe going to surprise us? Maybe something?
Yeah.
But I think everyone, quickly got over it from arriving and just kind of marveled at the ability of BlizzCon to, like I kept saying, bring us all together as this family, this unit. And I think we all managed to make the most of our time out there.
Mm-hmm. For sure. So I guess like the one cool thing that we got at the convention was that demo.
Yes, yeah, we should definitely talk about that because that was a BlizzCon exclusive demo.
Mm-hmm. And it was a lot of fun, and it was something that actually put together some talking points that I've had as far as what they could do to make like Rifts somewhat competitive. And so it was like a riff that went and got put together. It was handcrafted, so everything had very set specific spawns, no matter which class that you went and played through. And there was mini bosses. There were like little checkpoints and stuff that you actually had to go through and complete in order to get through the level. And if this works correctly, Bloodshed actually went through and posted a video. Blizzard went and sent him some footage that he could go through and upload to give people a little bit of a preview of the build and what happened. And you can see, he's in New Tristram, fighting the Butcher there.
Yeah, it was really cool just to, one of the things Bloodshed was talking about in the video in particular was kind of, as a longtime fan, right? And that's a lot of the people. I mean, there are new people that come to BlizzCon all the time, but a lot of the hardcore fans will also go too because they love Blizzard that much. And so we've been playing the game for so long, there hardly ever gets surprises anymore. But then you do this thing and it's like, whoa, wait, why is the Butcher here? Wait, why is Diablo there? What's happening? It kind of reminds you of this. I actually just thought about this as a stupid thing to say, but it kind of reminds me of the days where people used to be able to bring monsters into New Tristram and kill you.
Right. Those dark, sad days when people would just find any way that they could to. Those people that were really, really sad that you couldn't, go hostile and kill other people out in the world, just joining public games and ganking people. But they found a way.
World PvP.
A world PvP. But yeah, it was a very cool demo, and there's also some stuff that I liked that they did because you had to fight like a Morlu, and I think that's going to be coming up here soon in the video. Yeah, so you're in the Butcher's room and you're fighting the Morlu. This was actually the hardest part playing as the Necromancer because you had no corpses and you were entirely reliant on the land of the dead and your golem to do anything. But what was cool is it had the hooks from the battering ram in Act 5 that would go through and divide the stage. So as you're going through and fighting, this is already one of the more interactive stages because the ground would go and catch on fire and you kind of had to like move away in order to stay alive, but then it would go through and seal off parts, so it actually reduced your movement and made you actually sit there and think, well, it's like, shit, if I'm gonna be standing on the grate here, I'm gonna have to destroy some of these chains and take a little bit of time off of just actually attacking the boss, and gave it more of kind of like a World of Warcraft boss, where it actually has like these mechanics. It's not just sitting there, dodge the bad, attack the boss. There was mechanics that you had to interact with.
Yeah, and we saw more of that too. I think this is actually about to come up with like the double boss fight, right? Mm-hmm. Between what was it, Fire Urzael and Ice Urzael.
Mm-hmm. where you had the two different versions of the boss, which were pretty awesome. Just yeah, all the little different like mechanics that they went and threw together. Uh, and it also reminds me, it's like we don't have like an Urzael boss for Rift Guardians.
Oh, true story.
So that's something that they could potentially do. There's some mechanics that are missing. Models that don't get reused.
And they've shown that they can take it out of that one room that he's in and put him in the wild.
And then the scene that's coming up here was kind of like referred to by one of the developers as the Room of Blood. Oddly enough, in his Bloodshed's video. A shout out again to Bloodshed for going through and sharing this. But it's in this room. It did nothing but spawn elites, so that way you could go through and get the completion to the Rift Guardian. And this was another one of those things I was talking about, where you had to actually, complete certain objectives. So you can't actually spawn the boss. The boss itself is behind that door, and that door won't unlock until you reach 100% completion. And so it's just different mechanics that they have triggering off of, the pre-existing system. And so just different ways of going through and exploiting it, so that you could go through and have like a multi-level, rift system, where maybe you had to fill the gauge to unlock the door to go to another level and get a new gauge, and then of course you had the boss here, which is just called the First, is the model that they used for like the Diablo 1 throwback from the 20th anniversary, the little Diablo 1 pet that you could get
from last BlizzCon.
Yep. And then it also, as you're going through and fighting him, it spawns like every other boss, from the game.
Oh yeah, if you take too long, it starts to get crowded in here.
Yeah, that it does.
Really fill up the room. This is really cool. It did. We've talked about this several times while at BlizzCon, but it really harkened back to an idea that you've had here on the show, where you could really put together that PvEVP experience, right? Of the two groups going towards one common goal at the end of this greater rift, or whatever you want to call it at this point, because it's like a hand curated thing. Almost taking like multiple systems that they have, the Greater Rift system, the Challenge Rift system, and coming up with objectives or things that you can do to, maybe this one group approaches it this one way and they leap ahead, and then the other group is like, oh, they leaped ahead, we got to get riskier with our strats. And you have this push and pull of these two groups fighting each other while fighting the environment. And, it's a very mythic dungeon kind of feel. I love that I can make this reference now since I know what's going on over there. It has that sort of, mythic dungeon invitational feel to it, where, the teams don't see each other. They don't interact with each other. But their success very much has to do with what the other is doing. So I love I would love that, even if this doesn't ever do anything for Diablo 3 in terms of features or future content, maybe it's a bit of like testing the groundwork for how receptive people are to something like this, or just, hey, we did it. we know we can do that now. So maybe the next thing works off of this framework.
Oh yeah. And just the fact that they can go through and, code triggers for different things, such as not being able to go to the next level until this boss dies, and, gives there a lot of room that they could do something with it. I know it seems for most perspectives, Diablo 3 is kind of entering that maintenance mode as they go and kind of shift production over to whatever the unannounced project is. This could still be something that they could explore, though. It does sound like from the conversations that we had that this was like legitimately a one-off. And that even though that they had to create brand new tech for this demo, some of the things that they did for this demo did not exist before, and it was written specifically for BlizzCon. They didn't really have any plans about bringing any of these mechanics into the main game, but I hope that maybe they will.
They could always change their mind.
Yeah, they always could.
Or tinker with something. It's almost like essentially increasing your toolkit, right? Now they have this set of things that they've done, this tech, like you've been calling it, that they know is capable of doing a thing in the open with players utilizing it, and it didn't break.
Yeah.
And who knows, like if some developer down in the future looks at the game again and says, you know what, we did say we weren't going to do anything with this, but let's just try to throw it into this thing. Let's bring back the Romo trials and turn that into like its own mini dungeon. I just triggered everybody.
And you know, so the comment that you make about some developer down the line, how about this? Just gonna throw this one out there, that they go through and they have like that tech and those tool sets developed for the game now, and they've developed you know, tech that allows them to mesh tile sets from multiple zones together, such as in like the Realm of Fates and such. What about like the next step, or like what about like kind of like the last thing that they do for support with Diablo 3 before they focus everything on the unannounced project is they make a level editor.
Ooh. So this would be the request everyone's been asking.
Give all those tools over to the community, add another option so you have story mode, adventure mode, challenge riff, and then user-generated content, you know, maybe arcade mode or whatever, and then allow people to just make their own custom riffs. You know, obviously, you would have to be very careful. I imagine they wouldn't be able to drop anything. You probably wouldn't have any experience rewards from actually completing it.
It'd be challenge rift style.
It'd be something challenge rift style where you know you play 10 or 5 different user generated maps in a week, and you'll get like a challenge rift cache, and then that's it. So something, if you want to go through, just get the rewards. You can play 10 really quick, easy maps, whatever. Get the rewards for you, and then that's it. You're done. Or if you want, you can actually sit there and maybe someone else, since it will making something that would be engaging will take time and effort, and then having to create it on a regular basis to keep people interesting, or just to keep people interested in it. Might be a little bit too much for the development team, in addition to also having to go through, balance items, skills, and develop, new content, and, work on anything else in the background. But maybe giving that over to the players and letting a group of players go through and be like, well, I'm going to make a competitive rift system, and then allow them to just have the time to go and do it and show that maybe this is possible in order to give ideas for the future into the next iteration of Diablo.
Yeah, that's a powerful idea. I really think if they executed something like that, it would do a lot for the community in terms of driving renewable content forward, because now it's almost like games that are just purely PvP, right? Like a MOBA or a card game or whatever. Mm-hmm. The renewable content is that you're never essentially facing the same opponent twice. In Greater Rifts and Diablo and the way systems work right now, RNG makes the Greater Rift maybe not seem the same every single time, but you're essentially doing the same thing every single time with no real surprises, which kind of goes back again to why this demo was so enjoyable, was because it was just out of the norm. It was wacky, it was different, it was something we hadn't seen yet, and I think you could really recreate that experience again and again if you do add a level editor like you're saying, and really give the power to the players. And like you said, the other benefit of that is now the devs can sit back and look and say, what are our players doing? Yeah. And maybe some idea gets sparked. Like, you know what? That's a good D4 idea, or that's a good whatever the next game is idea.
And hey, let the players go through and put together like a team deathmatch style arena, and then them find out how terrible it actually is. Or maybe make it so that way they all people actually enjoy it, and so who knows. But it's an idea, and I know that one, and I will go back and add that is a very, very far stretch for this idea, because this is something going all the way back to before the game released. People were asking them about like a level editor because of stuff like Dark Sun and Median XL, that they did not develop the game with a level editor in mind. And so would probably require, if it's not something that they've had the idea to do, at some point very, very long ago, it's probably not something that's going to happen, as it would require a lot of work to then kind of reverse engineer a tool set to make it easy for the players to do. You know, because that was something that, like, StarCraft 2 had a level editor and a map editor that they gave players, and eventually they're just like, after so many tweaks and stuff like that, they just ended up going through and saying, well, hell, here, we're upgrading the level editor for StarCraft 2. It's the same tools that we use. Have fun, you know. But given that you know, StarCraft 2 doesn't have a PvE aspect that players could go through and then see every single one of the interactions behind all of the skills and all that types of stuff to find potential exploits. I don't see them ever going that far into the future with like any type of development of that nature. But it would be cool, and I wonder if that's an idea that ever really got pitched. And I kick myself for not coming up with this question while we were at BlizzCon to ask somebody about.
Yeah, you're pitching post. Hopefully it gets back to them, though. I mean, you know, you never... Maybe you'll get an answer. Maybe someone's listening.
Maybe. Someone out there, somewhere.
Someone listening somewhere. Yeah, but so that was another thing that we had that was, I think, particularly great about this BlizzCon was the exclusives. And then you actually asked the question at the con before the Storm panel of how do we feel about BlizzCon exclusives? And I think this does drive players to come to the event, right? It really... And even if you miss out, yeah, you missed that one, but maybe the next BlizzCon there's going to be something else that's kind of exclusive. Like even I guess you could say there was a BlizzCon exclusive last time too, because there were the coins, the 20th anniversary coins that were being handed out, and also those beers. And yeah, you could get them from like other sources eventually and such, but you know, one of the main sources was going to that BlizzCon to get them. So I think it kind of helps just mark in the hall of history. Oh yeah, I remember at that BlizzCon I did this. And you're kind of getting some memory cache, if you will.
Yeah.
Of just being able to mark down in time, like I remember this BlizzCon because of X. You know, of course, many other things, but that exclusive might stick in your mind too. And I guess also worth noting too, for those who were watching, you got to see a Necromancer go through the demo, but there were all 7 classes available too, all in pre-made setups, pre-made builds. I tried the Crusader, the Demon Hunter, and the Barb. And Barb was the Whirlwind, Crusader was a Holy Shotgun, funny enough, and Demon Hunter was a Marauder multi-shot.
And the Necromancer was a Corpse Lance Inarius.
There you go.
And also, in the demo, well, like, the big thing for BlizzCon this year was the patches that you could get for the BlizzCon bag. You could get like the little patch packs to add like the little badges to your backpack. And a lot of the demos were giving away like exclusive patches that you had to play the demo in order to get. The Diablo one was the Necromancer emblem, which I don't have in front of me. It's probably still in my bag somewhere. But there was people that were going through and obviously had never played Diablo before, and were playing the demo just so that way they could get the patch upon, you know, exiting the demo area. And I keep thinking of that one poor lady that was going through and playing a wizard that had no idea what she was doing. And going.
Oh my God!
Yeah, and we were standing by the demo area. We were just like going through, talking. We were using that as kind of like a meetup point. I'm just like kind of like looking back at the people going and playing the demo. And I notice, there's this person. The timer for the Greater Rift is already like a third of the way through. So like she's been playing it for like 5 minutes, and she's still on the road into Tristram killing zombies. And I realize she's playing the wizard, and she's trying to kill things with magic missile. And that's the only that. It's the only button that she's playing, or the only button that she's pressing. And then it's like kind of like looking back over, and then she finally, clicks the right mouse key, which is Frozen Orb, and then everything dies. And then she goes through and like walks up to the next one, and then starts hitting magic missile again. It's like, come on, you can do it. I have faith. Come on. And then she sits there and stops for a minute. you know, because like the monsters aren't dying, and it's like kind of like thinking, and then she casts Frozen Orb again, and then everything dies, and she walks down, you know, like the path further, and then casts Frozen Orb, and it's like she's got it. She's learning how to play the game, folks. It was like that was just like one of those that's like one of the BlizzCon moments for me, is watching someone that obviously has never played Diablo before, but is like learning it, like they're like in the moment, you know. It's kind of like going through it. It's like clicking. It's like it's like pretty cool, like seeing someone kind of like having that aha moment.
And that's something we never are really privy to, right? Because we're usually at home playing by ourselves, or if you know you have a spouse or someone who also plays with you, they probably also would know what they're doing already, right?
Yeah, you know, they might at least get from like you playing, or they'll ask you questions. You know, it's like, what am I supposed to do? Oh, well, you know, you equip this and that, and then you press this skill, and then you use that one to kill things. You know, but it's you know, it was just an interesting takeaway. I'm not, you know, I'm not trying to disparage her or anything like that. It's just she obviously has never played the game before, and you know, it's like you haven't. If you sit down like Leviathan, if you sit down and try and play World of Warcraft, you're gonna have no idea what you're doing. Like what skill does what. You know, it's like, well, this one does damage, but nothing's dying. Oh, because this is the one that I really need to press to kill things. You know, it's just. You know, it's just, but it was just like, for me, it was cool watching this person go through and like learn to play Diablo for the very first time, like in front of my eyes, and that was just like awesome. That, who knows, like that little stupid thing about going through and getting like this patch for playing the demo, you know, maybe afterwards she went through, played it. It's her first time playing Diablo 3. She left, she got her patch, and then she's like, you know, I think I'm gonna go through and try this game because, you know, it's like it's on sale. I can get it in the expansion for like $40. That was funner than I was expecting it to be. And then we have a new player going through and playing in seasons right now. Who knows?
I hope so.
Yeah,
that'd be great to create a lot more of those moments and memories, and yeah, take it at BlizzCon and then take it back home. Beautiful stuff, man. Yeah, so there are a lot of really just cool moments like that. Getting to talk to some of the newer players, the older players, some of the players from our community here. You know, I hate to try to mention everybody because I know I'm going to leave someone out, and I don't want to do that purposefully. But like seeing, you know, some of the old guard like Juno Reactor, who's always at BlizzCon every year. Great to meet up with him again. 0 Hour, I got to talk to a lot.
And Juno Reactor, thank you for the DVD.
Oh yeah, that's right. You guys got to get that. And just like so many other, you know, you've been talking about it the whole time, but just so many people that make up our community and that we get to type to 363 days out of the year. But those 2 days of BlizzCon, hey, look at that, General Reactors in chat. It just is awesome to have the faces in front of you, the personalities, the voices that you hear over the Discord or the Skype come to life and have gestures behind it and stuff. I don't know. For me, that's always one of the maybe things that makes BlizzCon the most real and the most memorable, is the conversations I have that, you know, I can talk to these people all the time back here in Boston. You know, we're so globally connected now, but just being able to shake a hand or like give a hug or, you know, see the excitement on your face as you're telling me about that drop that you just got. Like, it's awesome.
Yeah. It was, we did our first, like, kind of like little official, you know, Westmarch Workshop meetup, which I think we actually did 2 because there was some confusion as to which panel it was supposed to be after.
Whoops.
Yeah, but, you know, it's all good. It's all good. We took our meeting and then we doubled it.
Hey.
There we go.
Topical.
And get a cold from hugging, which is very true for people at BlizzCon, or any convention really. But, you know, so you got to go through, chat with fans, you know, talk with some people. You know, it was also nice because we got to see some faces for people that were just, it's like, hey, I listened to your show, you know, I like lurk in chat, or I listen to you guys on iTunes, or I've been, you know, what was it, Architect, you know, I've been following you guys since, you know, the you know, Diablo II days when we were, you know, doing podcasts with Flux, you know, and just, you know, it's cool, you know, just meeting, interacting, because we're the nice thing about that, like having like a meetup for the podcast, you know, isn't there to like go through and be like, oh, look at all of our fans, you know, all 2 of them. It's because you get to interact and hang out with a group of like-minded individuals, which I mean, you're already at BlizzCon. It's everyone else is, you know, like-minded individuals there, but you know, it is. We had on. I feel bad I didn't load the picture in. Into OBS. It might be a little bit too much to try and sort through and find it, but we took a new picture and was like kind of like from the first meetup on day 1 of like the Diablo community, and you know, we had all like the big name streamers that were there at the convention, and a lot of just like the fans of the show. We got everyone together that was there. I was like, hey, we're taking a picture, you know, and just that's for me, it was like another just like cool moment.
Absolutely, man. It's a lot of those things that as we start to try to bring up the memories of, you know, what do we want to talk about from BlizzCon on the show, there's so many things I had thought of, and then as you say something, another memory gets sparked of like, oh yeah, but there was also this moment too. And it's so hard to kind of, you know, you think it's such a short amount of time, just a couple of days that you're out there, but it's so jam-packed. And I think maybe one thing that you just keyed in on was the sort of sense of self, of being among those just like you. That for me is always another hallmark of BlizzCon, is you're at dinner, and we had so much good food at this BlizzCon. Oh my goodness. You know, you're at the food trucks getting that steak with the chimichurri. People, oh, so good.
It's been years. People haven't believed me, and every year people are like, "Oh yeah, that actually looks pretty good." Okay, Barcelona on the go. If you are in, you know, the LA area, you need to go through and go to this food truck. You know, it's the prime top sirloin over French fries with chimichurri sauce. It is a yearly tradition for me. Every year I go to BlizzCon, I look for that food truck just so that way I can pay them $15 to give me food, because it's like the most amazing thing ever. And then this year people were like, "Oh, that's really good." And then so everyone else like went through and like, you know, what was it? I forget who was there that night, but they all went to that food truck, and it's like, wow, this is really good. And it's like, see, I've been trying to tell you all this for years now.
I had it, for the record, by the way, I had it the first year that you had it, and I was like, this is good. I just forgot, okay?
This is the one thing for BlizzCon that I never forget. I go hunting for that place. I
know, you have a fiery passion.
And then the year that it's not there, I will cry. I will literally cry.
Maybe they'll send you a tweet to prepare you. They'll set your expectations.
I can only hope.
There will be no Barcelona trucks at the BlizzCon 2019. Oh, God. But yeah, the whole point of bringing that up, though, was you're sitting at these picnic tables or, you know, around wherever you can find a spot, and you're just having these conversations and listening to other people's conversations, and they sound just like yours. They're talking about, you know, seeing the Warcraft cinematic and how excited they are for when the expansion drops, or they're talking about Alexstrasza coming to Heroes and what the kit might look like, or they're talking about like just things that make perfect sense to you, and in your normal life when you go to work downtown or wherever, you never hear that stuff. So it's really super awesome to have it reinforced that it's not just you alone in this like geeky nerdy bubble of a world that you have for yourself, that you've carved out your niche. You know, there are thousands this year, 30,000s, like very, very large numbers of others just like you. And I think it's yet another selling point for reasons why you should come to BlizzCon, even if you don't get a ticket. Like just the outside area, there's so much more that's going on beyond just the inside halls of BlizzCon now.
And I have to say, with the North Hall that opened up, you know, the extra 5,000 people at BlizzCon, it did not feel like there was 5,000 extra people in that building.
No, it got all spread out.
It was wonderfully spread out. The crowds were not any worse than they normally are. I guess the demos were a bit more crowded, but that was largely to do with the badge handouts more than anything else.
Have we even talked about badges all that much yet?
Just I guess I mentioned it a little bit. Like they were giving away the exclusive badges at the demos.
Yeah, so that was kind of the new, you know, you guys have heard us go, especially myself, about on and on about the pins, and those were still there this year. They had the Series 4 of the pins, But introduced this year was, the BlizzCon, there's always the goodie bag, right? And the goodie bag this year was a backpack. And inside the backpack was a bunch of stuff, like a backpack hanger. You could get, everyone got a Mercy, and it legit just hung from your backpack. You could clip it in. But also there was a Velcro section to the backpack. And inside the bag, everyone got a starter pack of badges that just kind of rep the different franchises. All the iconography that you see, like the Big D or the
Big D.
The Big D, when you see that, you get excited.
Just whip it out.
Yeah, they just throw it out there. It's all red and glowing and ready for you. And all the other ones that they have too. I'm so distracted right now. But you can collect.
He's distracted by the Big D.
Distracted by the Big D. There are all these other badges that you could get outside of just the starter kit, and some of them were blind, or actually a lot of them were blind. So when you were buying the actual packs, you didn't know what you were going to get. And then on top of that, there were exclusive ones at the convention that, like Nine was saying, if you did the BlizzCon, or if you did the BlizzCon demo, if you did the Diablo demo, you got a sweet Necromancer one. If you did, like, go and visit the Razor booth, or, I forget who else was there. Some other vendors that are there, they all had their own as well, too. Wowhead made one. Like, there are so many of them. And it became this kind of phenomenon of looking at people's backpacks and being like, oh, they got the Doomfist. I don't have a Doomfist yet. And trying to trade. And, I honestly thought that there were just going to be people picking things off each other's backpacks left and right. But everyone was really good about it. And I think it sparked a lot of conversations in lines and stuff.
Which I think is like one of the things that was like the intent of like the pin trading previously, was just to get people interacting with one another. And this was another one that was like a very similar thing. So I'm sure next year we'll probably see the return of the badges as well as the return of the pins. It's this nice little like collectible thing. There are some people like Lala that was going after, like, had to have 100% of all of the badges. And then, which I also have to give a shout out to Lala, because, I only cared about the Diablo badges and I got almost all of them from her. So thank you. It's just, so it's like just little things like that it's cool, because it's like you're just saying, where'd you get that badge? Or, hey, it's like, let's trade,
I think the badges probably did it better than the pins, because previously, if you're like me, you put some of the pins on your lanyard for your displaying your badge to get into BlizzCon, and that's one way to kind of show some pins. But for the most part, people had them tucked in their pockets or in their like satchel or bag that they have carrying around BlizzCon, so you don't always actively see someone's pins. Whereas if you're wearing the backpack, those badges are out there front and center, so it's always kind of like, I'm open for business, or at least I'm just showing off what I got.
Yeah.
So, but then the question is now, Nine, does the next BlizzCon goodie bag or whatever they give us, A, have to be wearable, and B, have to have another Velcro section thing to it?
I guess that is the question. They could do a messenger bag with just the Velcro section.
There we go. We have to get kitted out in all our different bags with Velcro on them.
So everything going forward has to have Velcro.
It's the new wave.
It's like the 70s all over again.
Oh gosh, we'll bring back our light up Skechers or whatever too.
But yeah, and then all of this talk about the convention, we didn't even talk about the panels. The two
I was on one of those too.
He was.
Whoops. Yeah, that was a thing that did happen at BlizzCon. We kept what's the word I'm looking for? Warning, I guess. This sounds so dire, not like portents of danger or whatever, but we kept saying that, no big announcements or official crazy presence of Diablo, but we did have panels. The two 30-minute panels, one on Friday, which was the visual effects of the Necromancer. And if you want to give people kind of a summary of your thoughts on it, because I thought it was pretty interesting.
It definitely was pretty interesting. And I actually had some technical difficulties. If you go back and you watch that panel, you'll notice that the two panelists, Julian and Jane, they kind of. It was very kind of like an open Q&A panel. Nevelistus had some questions, and then they're also taking questions from the audience right from the get-go instead of at the end. They actually were supposed to be designing things on stage. They have like computers set up so they can go up to the projectors, and you'd be watching them, and they would be kind of like going along with designing like some skills or some VFX effects. Effects. Yeah, that works. But they had some problems with the VPN getting it connected, and so they just kind of like came out and did a Q&A about it instead of kind of like showing the tool sets that they used. Because in some of the other panels that they did on that stage for like World of Warcraft, they were more just kind of like guiding you along as they were developing a zone or doing just like some concept art and things of that nature. But we still got to learn a lot about just kind of like the philosophy that went into designing the visual effects for the skills for the class, and just some of the issues or I guess hardships that they had while designing some of the skills, or just the overall flavor of the Necromancer.
Mm-hmm. And even some of the technical process of how they, the stream of, you make a visual effect and then the animator does this, and kind of how like it's, I actually can't even remember what the answer was now. It's so technical. I was just wowed by, Zanji going up there and I was like, he knows what he's talking about. Wait, they know what he's talking about. Okay, I'm like, wow, this is an interesting conversation.
Uh-huh.
They're talking about things that I don't know. But yeah, I found that to be rather illuminating, just because, as a power player, I'm just like, does the skill do damage? Great. All right, let's move on. But it's kind of cool to get the background build out of why it looks the way it looks, or where they got the impetus from to design it the way it, came out.
Yeah, and also just like the discussion of just kind of like how the internal structure of the development team goes. It's not just a skill designer develops a skill and then hands it off to the animators, and then hands it off to the visual effects artists to finish it off. It's like the skill designer will kind of like create a concept and hand it over to the animator, and then the animator will hand it over to the visual effects person, and the VFX guy is just like, so how often are you going to be able to use this skill?
Yeah, that's right.
It's like, we're going to have to go back and like tone this down or like change something, and so it's kind of like a back and forth process of going, through all the different steps from, designer to the different levels of animators. Of just like playing with and just finding something that works right, in terms of like scope and feel, because the feel is like one of the very important questions along every step of the designing any skill or set within it.
That's right, and we keep saying it, but I think the Necromancer really, because they must have had that as a pillar of design for the class, it really did come out that way, feeling like each skill really had some oomph behind it, or really just had that flavor that brought the class to life or to death.
Yeah, that's going back to one of the original design pillars of Diablo 3, concentrated coolness. That's going little Jay Wilsonism there.
I like that.
Yeah, and it really that one like really did come through.
I 100% agree.
Mm-hmm.
Word. So yep, that was the Friday panel.
Mm-hmm. And then moving on to Saturday was the community panel,
where a few blokes that you may or may not know hopped up on stage, with the lovely Dainty Nevelistis hosting once again. And in all seriousness, it was Riker, Big Daddy Denling, Saria, and myself, and we had a grand old time. It was raucous in there. Like, you guys in the crowd were like, you made us feel like rock stars up there. It was really cool. Just the bright lights, the crowd went nuts when Dainty was kind of introducing each of us, or asking us to introduce ourselves and everything. Everyone kind of did like their standard greeting, like, Riker did his "Hey folks," and everyone like went crazy and stuff. So it was really cool to just have that moment to really, it's kind of, I feel like I'm repeating myself in different ways trying to say this, but it was another one of those moments that really brought home the community feel of it, because it was just, hey, let's talk about what it means to create content for the community. Why do we do what we do? What keeps us up late at night when we're worrying about how the content's going to be taken, or how we can deliver more, or what the community needs, or what we feel they want, and things like that. And way to sort of have both sides there and connecting in a way that, you know, previously there's screens between us, and you might be listening to a Riker video, or sorry, I hope maybe watching a Riker video, or listening to a Westmarch Workshop podcast, or, you know, viewing a Big Daddy Den stream, or watching Linksaria do her thing with the Crusader as well. But you got to see us like in person animate and kind of give that passion. And I hope they do something like it again, because I would love to see more of that community appreciation and interaction.
Mm-hmm. And that it was not just for Diablo. That was a similar theme across all of BlizzCon. There were a lot of very community-focused panels, because Bloodshed was actually on a panel earlier that day, on Saturday, alongside, you know, some people such as Day 9, talking about just creating and building a community and a stream, and just what it means to be a content creator in general, not specifically for one particular franchise, but yeah.
Right. Yeah, the theme, I suppose you could say, was really rife throughout the multiple panels, the speeches, even from like opening ceremony and such. You know, all voices matter, a lot of diversity and inclusion. I felt like it was really sort of the message to drive home, and maybe just because of the atmosphere of the times we're living in, it kind of needed to be reinforced that, hey, like, you know, your voice matters. Don't let anyone try to belittle how you feel about, you know, your passions. You know, live your best life right now, because time's limited, man. Yeah.
And that you know, it's very interesting that you bring that up, because that's another theme across a lot of the panels, from like the VFX panel, the writer panel, the writer and lore panel that I went to, was just like, it's like, get out there and do it, create. If it's something that you're passionate about, if you like drawing and you want to be an artist, whether it's at Blizzard or someplace else, just go out there and draw. You want to be a writer, just go out there and write. Just, you know, follow your passion, and don't let it be something that you want to do. Just do it, whether you're good at it or bad at it. That was the Stay a While and Listen panel.
I was hoping you were going to talk about that.
Yeah, where Jeff Kaplan went up and talked about, like, I think it was like the 127 creative, like, writing pitches that he sent out to, like, publications to try and get accepted, because he had his degree in creative writing, and he was just trying to get something published, and like everything got denied. And, you know, it's like how he went through and he gave up on creative writing, and then, he ends up going and, you know, landing his job at Blizzard because of his creative writing degree. And so it was just a very interesting stories about just making sure that you follow your passion, and, you know, if it's something that you truly are passionate about, just keep doing it and you'll get better at it.
Yeah, got to take a chance. There's a lot of time to think about doing the thing or what it would be like to do the thing. But if you put yourself within the thing and you practice the thing, you keep doing the thing, even if it's not the ultimate or ideal way that you want to do the thing, then hopefully eventually you work yourself towards that thing.
Yeah. Or in that same panel, Ben Brode's story about how step dancing got him into college. Which, I mean, you just have to watch. I can't explain it.
Yep, that one's, you gotta to believe it.
Yeah, yep.
That's really good, though. Yeah, I guess this is a great moment to kind of say maybe your favorite moment from BlizzCon, or I guess maybe favorite moments if you can't limit yourself to one, and then potentially hopes for going forward. We've been sort of skirting around a topic like this already, but is there anything that sticks out, or anything that you hope to carry forward, or anything that you'd like to see that wasn't there this particular year?
I guess definitely two favorite moments: that Stay a While and Listen panel. If you have if you were there and missed it, or you have the virtual ticket and didn't watch it, go back and watch it. It's two amazingly awesome, hilarious stories from Jeff Kaplan and Ben Brode, and then I believe it was Matthew Chatterson, the father of Ezra Chatterson, who is the kid that they had with the Make-A-Wish Foundation that did the Phoenix Mount. It's a very touching, heart-wrenching story that I was not emotionally prepared for.
Oh yeah,
and it was very touching. So be careful that it will induce the feels. Was probably one of my singular favorite moments at BlizzCon, and then after that, I'd have to say almost the karaoke afterwards. If I can say that, even though it happened after BlizzCon.
That's part of the whole experience.
Yep. And as far as things that I have like hopes for next year that maybe they didn't do it this year, I would hope that they keep more of that community feel for next year's BlizzCon, and maybe we'll get some sort of Diablo announcement next year. I highly doubt that there will be, but I can always hope, right?
Yes. Keep the hope alive, even if it's at a 1%.
1%.
Hey, it's a 1% gem upgrade, but sometimes you get those 1%.
Sometimes, man. Sometimes.
Sweet, man. I'm glad you went first because it gave me time to think. And I think for me, so one of the answers that I kept giving that I thought was my surprising answer was that the World of Warcraft Battle for Azeroth cinematic, I think I've watched it like 10 times now, which is, it doesn't seem like a large number, but I don't play.
For the guy that doesn't play WoW.
Exactly. I don't play that game, but man, it was so like awesome, moving, touching. Like, so, full disclosure, I cried, all right? Like when Anduin did the holy spell and he was healing and bringing everybody back. I just don't know why, but for some reason I looked around the main hall where we were watching it for the first time, and I just saw like the glee on everyone's face on just seeing this cinematic. And I don't know, it moved me, man. I just felt at that moment what it felt to be just a true fan of Blizzard, to not care what game it was, to not care like about my thing, right? Just to be a fan of everyone that's in that room feeling the exact same sort of excitement and just getting swept up in it. So that was a really awesome moment for me. Plus Sylvanas yelling for the Horde, and me being like, well, Alliance is cool though, but loving Sylvanas all the same. That was really awesome as well. Man, that thing is great. Watch the cinematic if you haven't watched it, because it's awesome. And Blizzard cinematics are just freaking top notch. Always. So good.
They just need to make like a Saturday morning cartoon show.
Please.
Right?
The Overwatch is prime for that.
It really is. It really is. And then the Reinhardt cinematic.
Oh, gosh.
I cried.
Yeah.
Darren DePaul, mayor of Blizzard.
Gosh, man, that was another one. They were tugging at our heartstrings all BlizzCon long. And mission accomplished, because there's so many of those moments. Just like, oh, gosh, yes. You hit me. You critical hit my feels. Oh, boy.
That they did.
And then I would say my other sort of like probably less surprising, but I guess memorable moment isn't necessarily just one moment, but the random run-ins. We had a lot of planned activities, like you mentioned, the karaoke, and then we did like some escape rooms and stuff, which were so much fun. I was really happy to get that tradition continued. But just from the times where I would be kind of moving from one event to the next, like one panel to the next panel, or trying to meet up with you guys after going off on a solo adventure or whatever, I ran into people that I wasn't not thinking about, but just being like, it'd be nice if I saw this person or something. And then boom, we saw Whammo in passing, and that was the only time we saw him at the whole convention. But it was just nice to get to see that familiar face. Or a friend of mine that I made from previous conventions and stuff, James Ridgers, I got to see him just randomly running around. He was doing some like project management, crazy insanity, making that BlizzCon operate. And so there was no chance, honestly, that I would ever see him, because he was really behind the scenes. But just happened to be the right place, right time, and saw him. Like I saw Ben Brode literally right after he got off the stage from telling you guys that story with the stay a while and listen. So just so many cool, like, I just happened to be there, and there was, X person for a great conversation.
Yeah, that was actually, I have two of those stories. There's 2 times that I left the group to go and get a drink, and then ran into people that I wanted to see. One of them was like we were all going downstairs, I think, for like some sort of meetup or something like that. Or we were going, I forget what it was, we were going to get food or something, and so I left to go and get a drink, and then I run into Ben Brode. who I have to see every BlizzCon to go and say hi.
Of course.
And then there was another time where I left the Marriott to go to the Hilton to get a full throttle, and then I ran into Val, who is Osriel on Twitter. Really cool, kind of like I think he used to be a recruiter for Blizzard, but he's out there like really big into esports and Diablo and stuff like that. Just someone that it's one of those people who I've talked to for like the longest time, but I've never actually met in person. And just like walking by, and it's like, wait, I know you, type thing. And I met Whitney.
Yes, and I believe is it true this is the only other Whitney in Blizzard?
Apparently, yes. I met the only other Whitney that worked at Blizzard, and I was the first male Whitney that he's ever met in his life. The only other male Whitney that he's ever met in his life. And so it was like a total like freak out moment for him. And so it's just like instant friendship.
And that's the kicker if you didn't catch it. This was also another male Whitney that you met.
Yes. Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Which he wasn't the first male Whitney that I've ever met, but it's still, they're few and far between. And then of course it started like one of those things. Well, we really should change this. They should hire more people named Whitney at Blizzard, and I volunteer myself as tribute.
You'll fall on that sword, huh?
Yeah, I will take that burden. I will totally take that burden. I will sweep their floors, even though they outsource.
Amazing. And then for my hope going forward, it's a small hope, but I feel like it's very doable. I want the return of the slaughtered calf inn, because I feel like that also feeds into that whole driving the community thing. Like the Hearthstone Tavern, they've got their own bar scene going. There was the Stingray or whoever the hell for StarCraft.
Joey Ray's bar.
Yeah, that guy. Cyrus Billy Ray. At his own bar.
That's totally it.
You right?
Yep.
Great. I want ours back, man, because I feel like we were the originators, and then all these other franchises took the idea and ran with it, and then we just never have it back again. So I know it's a floor space thing. I know it's a convention is super massive now, but I have hope.
I hope.
Oh, man. And I guess that's BlizzCon. There's still so many more stories we could tell, man.
I'm sure we'll go through and recount some things that we forgot to talk about. Like, I don't think that we even have enough time to talk about karaoke.
That's true. Yeah, we could do a part 2. Maybe the things outside of BlizzCon.
Yeah, you have to wait till next episode to hear about karaoke night.
There we go. Put the cliffhanger out there.
Memories were made that evening.
Oh goodness, yes. I still have Eyes on Me stuck in my head, by the
way. that was just like one of those ones where it's just like that like first couple of songs for the playlist, like Eyes on Me, Fly Me to the Moon. It's like it tugged at like my heartstrings there.
The theme continued.
Yeah. But I guess with that, shall we jump into our community section?
Yes, we can do community. We have a few more topics, but we can port those over to the next episode. We'll try to give you guys some thoughts on builds and what you can do with the different classes. Maybe we'll do a little leaderboard review, or just see where all the classes are at, take some stock, and talk about some other things as well. But yeah, things to look forward to. We can do community now, though.
All right, you want to take the first email?
I would love to do that.
Yep.
Because we have a reoccurring theme from D3 Archaea, who's written in the past about console stuff, and has come back once again to give us some more tales from the console. Says, hey guys, considered giving in and going with sub fellas. Is there a story behind that?
Yes, there is.
Yes, there is. Haven't listened to enough old episodes to know. You must go back in the catalog, and also to the Mustafar system.
Hey, I get that reference.
I did it!
Yay!
Woo!
That goes back to Ty Bud, who we haven't heard from in a while.
Oh wow, yeah, that is the originator.
Yeah, I have seen him commenting around, but I just haven't heard anything. He hasn't sent anything into the show in a while.
Type if you're out there, write us a sup, fellas, for old time's sake.
That's all that we need. Just sup, fellas, and then that's it. Email done.
All right, so D3 Arcade continues with more D3 console follow-up. Yes, PS4 leaderboards go on approximately forever. If I want to see the gear of a player whose top clear is a greater 15 in 14 minutes and 59 seconds, I can. Provided I'm friends with that person or near them on the leaderboards, or willing to spend a long time scrolling down and praying that it doesn't glitch or crash, which the leaderboards sometimes do when you try to do things like scroll past a few 100,000 entries. So that was a question I had from the last time was, you know, D3 Arcade supplied us with those screenshots, and we were looking at the numbers in the 300,000s. I was like, is it actually just infinite? Like everyone is on the leaderboard, which I guess they are. Incredible. Console life. I think the PC version must be keeping most or even all of that same info because it does keep track of your personal best clears in each category. So solo, 2-player, 3-player, 4-player. They are probably just not showing it all on the leaderboards for whatever reason. One drawback to console leaderboards is that we can only look at the current season's leaderboards. It shows your own rank from previous seasons to the current leaderboard, but not the gear. And I don't think you can look at other players' clears from past seasons. Anything before the previous season might be completely gone. I'm not sure since we've only had 2 on console so far. So that's interesting. So they don't really get as much of a look back like we can on PC. Intriguing. And he continues, I've been testing like mad since the patch dropped. It's crazy. My new benchmark for is this build worth pushing is greater if 100 solo. Hey, you fall into the, with no augments.
Oh, yeah. That one will be interesting.
That's a, wow, yeah. That's a very strong testing scenario. I'm really psyched for the new season, but I'm suffering from class choice paralysis. I always play all the classes every season because I can't stop myself. But the choice of which class to start the season with, that one is the tough one. I'm thinking about things like which class will set me up the best for hitting conquest leaderboards, which conquest will be easiest to get in the top 10 of. I made top 10 on Years of War in Season 10, so that's definitely an option, but it requires picking my first 2 classes quite carefully. Curses seems like a good choice, but it pretty much always is done in teams of 4, so guaranteeing top 10 requires being in the first 2 teams to do it. I foresee a whole different type of testing occupying my weekend. Pardon me while I go remove all of my Paragon points and look for some really crappy gear. Thanks, and keep the great episodes rolling in, D3 Archaea.
Thank
Beautiful.
you very much.
Thank you for that email. Yeah, you bring up old memories because we used to have this debate on the show back in the day where, yes, now it's great. You can play any build you want, any set you want, but there will still be classes that get a better start just by the nature of Hadrig's gifts and also like what they're generally known for, right? Like the Demon Hunters have really just ruled in terms of being so fast early on, and they are great for conquest if you're a conquest chaser because just get your UE set and curses. You can do that solo, honestly. I think even now, to be quite fair, a lot of the classes could do it solo as soon as you get the right setup of stuff. If, for instance, Sun Wukong is ever the Hadrig's gift, you could probably just take a Wave of Light Monk, find that Cursed Peat chest event, and go do it solo. Pretty sure you're going to hit it because it's only T10 for it,
Yeah, or even some people I've seen that they just always level a Witch Doctor first, go through a complete, the first 4 chapters of the seasonal journey, get all the Hadrig's gifts, do a couple greater risks until they get a Gem of Ease, level that up real quick, and then go and get the class that they wanted to use the Hadrig's gift on, level it to 70, and then open them up.
Oh, nice. So kind of like save it.
Yeah, because it's like that you can, like, some of the people that have gotten it down to a science can, they can level 1 to 70 in a season opener solo with the Witch Doctor in about 2 hours.
Oh, right, because they have the whole dot thing. Yeah, interesting. Very interesting. I hadn't even thought about that, but so many ways to slice it if you're trying to get really super technical and have very, very specific goals.
So it's all about, like how can they min-max those first couple of hours.
Hey, it's important if you're chasing conquest and ranks.
Oh yeah, that it is. And our next email, I always get to read these.
Oh boy. And I don't plan it that way. Sometimes
I'm sure you don't. Yeah, I'm sure, 100%. This one comes in from everybody's favorite, Frunctropus. Ahoy ahoy, W2 community. I guess that's W to the second power community. I have a tale of mortal terror to share with you. Halloween has come and gone, yet the ghouls still roam the night, slavering and gibbering in for their pound of flesh, twitching their rotten tendons hungrily as the flesh hangs in loose strips of flesh that trail behind them. These loose strips of flesh are shed occasionally and wither on the sidewalk like beef jerky. Small children actually think that they are beef jerky and pick them up off the sidewalk to give them a nibble, unbeknownst to their parents. They then tell their parents, who are absent-mindedly texting the freaky dry cleaners because their $300 wool sweater is now a doll's $300 wool sweater. The children, they tell their parents, "This beef jerky tastes like a donkey took a poop in my mouth." The parents then, aghast at the decision of their filthy and petulant little persons' apparent obliviousness to the universe of disease that surrounds us, say, "Put that down, Dakota. Icky." The child then drops a withered, maggot-infested, mucus-oozing ghoul flesh and says, "Mommy, why am I named after a state?" Wait, what was this about an email? Oh yeah. Horror. Weeping, gnashing of teeth. My friends and I logged on. Dear God. Now the email starts. My friends and I logged on to continue playing my Rathmus wares in the land of Sanctuary just the other day. Gonna run some rifts, and I said to myself, oh wait, maybe I'll public bounty up some crafting materials, and logged off as the private game was still in its infancy. No one was playing bounties early in the morning, so I logged back into my private game, and now I'm missing 2 royal topazes that were socketed into my chest piece. Why the hell would I unsocket those bad boys? Wait, what's this? Where's my Bane of the Trapped? The one that I slaved to the high level on. Gone? Stash? No. Gone. Rip my Bane of the Trapped. So at this point, I erupted out of my basement in my yellow-stained underwear, proceeded to the fridge, and downed a case of whipped cream by spraying can after can into my mouth until I blacked out in a white, frothy puddle of sweet, frothy cream. When I came to and peeled myself off the floor, literally split whipped cream, which is sticky. I said to myself, Blizzard must know this. They must know my pain. I went to report the bug, and this has been happening to others. So, Funktropus service announcement. Apparently, if you log on and off without giving time for the game to load properly, or if you get too switchy too rapidly with the armory, you get put in a bejeweled item in the stash and immediately log off to go to another character. This trifecta has spelled lost gems for unlucky travelers like myself, so beware. Or you might have talked about this already, and all that whipped cream was for nothing. Stupid whipped cream. Funktropus the Broken. So,
you know, there was a message in all that.
Yes.
Which is whipped cream is sticky.
Whipped cream is sticky. And also, apparently, if you switch characters too fast, you could potentially lose not only gems, but legendary gems. So just give it time. Give it time when swapping back and forth between games.
Okay, so in all seriousness, I actually encountered this bug, and I'd forgotten about this because it hasn't happened recently. But before BlizzCon, right when the patch went live, I was on stream. Or no, it was right before stream started. And I actually started stream super depressed because this happened. But I was on my Crusader because, you know, before BlizzCon, I was still playing both Crusader and Demon Hunter. So I was swapping back and forth. I was on my Demon Hunter the night before, had gems on there, rolling Greater Rifts and such. I was like, oh yeah, I'm about to play only Crusader today on stream. Let me just take the gems off the Demon Hunter, throw them in the stash, and then log on to the Crusaders so I have it all ready to go as soon as stream starts up. So I'm literally in the intro screen for my stream, you know, with the music and the awesome backgrounds that Holy Knight provides. And I'm looking through my stash as, you know, the intro music's still going, looking. And I'm like, okay, something weird happened here because I don't see my awesome green Bane of the Trap gem that I love a lot and had at level like 102. So I'm looking. Stream finally starts up, and I'm just like, guys, I think something is wrong here. And I literally had everybody look with me through my stash. We went on every character that I had for non-seasonal softcore. It was just gone, dude. So this happens. This is a thing where if you switch too quickly, and that's exactly what it was. I went to the jeweler, took the gems out of the gear, put them in the stash, and then instantly left that game. And I guess it didn't have a chance to settle or something, so the gem's in this state of like not in your gear, but not in your stash yet. So it's a horrible feeling, and I just can't imagine. I hope it's solved. I hope they fixed it. I bug reported it as well too. Hopefully Funktropus did. I hope they fixed it. I didn't hear anything about it afterward, because that would just be an even worse feeling if you're in like a season, you know, at the end of your season, about to push, and you're like, all right, let's get those gems from those Rathma Necros that I've been using all season long. You swap over and everything's just gone. Devastating.
Yeah, that's not pleasant. Not pleasant at all.
Yep. Oof. So yeah, I guess word to the wise. You heard it here multiple times. Yep. Slow down.
Slow down. And watch out for that whipped cream.
That's the real takeaway.
That's definitely the real takeaway there. But with that, I think that wraps up our emails for the week. But we do have some items of the week.
Items of the week.
Week.
We should ask Darren DePaul to do that for us.
That's what we should do, in the Reinhardt voice.
Yes.
That way, you know, he's talked about wanting to be in Diablo, but how about you can be in a Diablo podcast?
Yeah, small steps. Work your way up,
baby
Darren.
Steps, right?
Well,
right.
He's only small potatoes. He's got to get his name out there.
Right. So we can be that stepping stone. We can totally be that stepping stone for him.
Call our people, Darren.
Yep. So our first item here comes from Coach. He sent in these two Gavels of Judgment, not only to show off, but also to ask a question about which one's better. And the ancient Gavel of Judgment here clocks in at 3,659 DPS, has 1,448 strength, increases the Call of the Ancient's damage by 15%, and the secondary effect of 20 maximum fury, and of course the damage of Hammer of the Ancients is increased by 650% and returns 25 fury if it hits 3 or fewer enemies. And the reason why he was sending in both is because he wants to know how much does that legendary property affect, because it was non-ancient, while being 300 DPS less, increases the Hammer of the Ancient's damage by 796% as opposed to the 605.
Yeah.
And wanted to know which one would be better off to use.
So this is now one of the new problems of, you know, we were just touting the awesomeness of those powers moving to the legendary, orange text, so you can cube stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But now this is one of the issues, is you can get an ancient and it can technically be worse than a normal, because those multipliers in the legendary power matter a lot. And if you get one high end on your normal and one low end on your ancient, you got to stick with that high end, because it's going to make a huge difference for your damage output. Even though you're looking at that shiny ancient, you're like, but it's got the gold border, it has to be better.
Yep. So that's one of those ones, just because the level of variance is so high.
Mm-hmm. Too damn high.
Mm-hmm. So for this particular one, go with the regular for the time being, until you can get an ancient with a better roll, or if you have a better or comparable ancient weapon to use, you can always throw it in the cube.
That's right.
Yeah, and then get max value out of it, if you so choose. And then our next item of the week, this one comes in from Knight. Hi, Knight. How you doing?
Good night, Knight.
Good night, Knight. He went through and sent in this Ancient Compass Rose with 629 strength, 614 vitality, 50% critical hit damage. It was re-rolled for 6% critical hit chance. The secondary effect of 7,000 life after each kill. Not a bad way to start off the season, I must say.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
It popped up for me yet, so I'm just visualizing. There it is. Oh, I forgot about this. You know what? I blocked this out of my memory because I saw it this morning, and I was like, God damn it, I never get compass roses that look like this. That is beautiful, man. That's a hot ticket.
Very nice.
Hot ticket. I would love that for my Blessed Shield when I try that out for Rakans.
Mm-hmm. And then our final item of the week here. This one comes in from Holy Knight. This one is a Primal Overwhelming Desire.
Oh, Holy Knight.
You know, one of those things is like, oh, great, a Primal. Oh, no.
Oh.
And this one is definitely oh no. So Overwhelming Desire, this one rolled 1,000 strength, 18% life, reduces the cooldown of skills by 8%. The secondary effect of 38,000 life from health globes and potions. And then of course the legendary property of chance on hit to charm an enemy, and while charmed the enemy takes 35% increased damage. So
hey.
Holy Knight, I wish you luck in the new meta.
hey Nine.
Yeah.
I bet Holy Knight I bet Holy Knight had an overwhelming desire to turn this into 15 Forgotten Souls.
Yes. Yes.
You see what because the name of the item is Overwhelming Desire.
Overwhelming Desire. Yeah.
So I used the name of the item in my joke.
Yes.
Is it getting funnier as I explain it to you?
No.
You're gonna laugh anytime soon?
Nope. Not going to.
Not even a chuckle? Not even a guffaw?
9.
9. All right, well, move along.
move along. And that I guess brings us to the end of the episode. If there's anything else that you'd like to add in before we move to the outro.
Well, you didn't like my pun, so I guess I'm done, son. Time to run.
Okay, that rhymes. That rhymes. And before we go into the actual outro itself, we got a couple of 5-star reviews here on iTunes. Now, these ones is weird. They're from almost a month ago, but they only recently appeared on iTunes. Sorry for not getting to these reviews until now, even though they were posted a while ago. We definitely thank you for them. This first one is from Pinot Noir. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Peanut Noir?
Yeah, sure. And they had to say, best Diablo podcast out there. Thank you very much. And second review from a new one. Always informative, always entertaining. Thanks, guys. And thank you, guys, for the 5-star reviews. We definitely appreciate that. Any of those reviews, likes on the videos, shares and whatnot, that helps get us out there, makes us more noticeable for anyone that's just casually browsing for a Diablo podcast. So we definitely appreciate any feedback or reviews or ratings that you go through and give us. But with that, speaking about feedback and reviews, if there's something that you want to have featured on the show, whether it be an item of the week or a story or any feedback to the episode itself, please feel free to go through and drop us a line at westmarchworkshop@blizzpro.com. Again, that email address is westmarchworkshop@blizzpro.com. We are also on Twitter at the WM Workshop if you want to go through and tweet at us or interact with the community. And then, of course, we live stream here every other Wednesday night at twitch.tv/BlizzPro at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. And if you like what we do here, feel free to go ahead and click the follow button so that way you can get notifications when we go live. And also just check out all the other lovely family of Blizzard content that we here at BlizzPro create. Monday nights you have Well Met, our Hearthstone podcast. Tuesday nights is the Heroes Power Hour for Heroes of the Storm. And Thursday nights is Payload podcast for everything Overwatch related. And if you like what we do, feel free to go through and subscribe to the channel because it supports not only us but all the other podcasts here at BlizzPro. Because, well, the hosting costs aren't cheap, and this is just kind of like a little volunteer thing that we all contribute time to. It's something that we're passionate about. And if you want to see more of the things that we talked about on the show, feel free to go through and drop on down at diablo.blizzpro.com, our home site. We are even in game. We are the BlizzPro clan. How are the memberships looking at the moment?
They are starting to stack up. We are, I think, sitting around 135-ish, 136-ish, so almost hitting our cap. Slowly been increasing as popularity in the season has upticked, but still a few spots there, so if you're fast with the fingers, you might get in.
They'll go through, and if you don't want to leave your current clan, you can always go through and join us in the Westmarch Workshop community. Just go through, drop on, and say hi. And of course, we have a Discord. It's discord.gg/BlizzPro. There's a lot of people from the community, myself included, that are on there going through and just hopping on, chatting as we play Diablo. Or in my case, if I'm just like working on an article or something like that, I still try to hop in and just chat with people. And you can go and follow us individually. I'm at 9ballgamer on Twitter and at twitch.tv/9ball. And you can also follow this joker over here at LeviathanD3 on Twitter and at twitch.tv/Leviathan111. And with that, I believe that brings us to the end, unless you've got any last-minute quips that you want to add.
Ah, man, you threw me off with the word quips. I thought you were going to say last-minute words, and I was going to say words like I always do.
Aha! Caught you off guard.
On guard.
Yep. And just for those people in chat, I know how to say Pinot Noir, but it was not Pinot Noir. It was Pinoy. Pinot Noir is why I was asking.
Nine ball defending pronouncing things. Come on, man.
It's rare, but it happens. And I guess we end there.